What's up, people? Welcome to week 12 of English 1101. Well, this is it. We are entering into the final phase of this course. You just submitted Essay 2, or if you're watching this early, then you are going to submit Essay 2. And then we're going straight into Essay 3, and it's the final part. We are one down in this course. Okay, so I really hope that you have enjoyed it and that it was something that you learned something and that you'll carry it on into your future classes as well, and that when you move into your later courses, your future instructors or professors will say things like, "Wow, you had a great English teacher," and that they won't say things like, "Damn, your English teachers suck. They didn't teach you anything." Okay, so represent well out there. Okay. All right, so I want to start grading the essays. This is Friday when I'm recording this, and in fact, there are like 6 essays already posted. So I might go ahead and grade those today, and then I'll start grading those next week, and hopefully I'll get those graded much faster than I did essay 1. And if you do better on essay 2 than you did on essay 1, I will be changing your essay 1 grade to match your essay 2 grade. Okay, cool. There has been a change for the next 2 weeks. Okay, so we're getting into essay 3, and originally this week you were going to write an outline for your essay, and that was going to be due on the 6th. But I've changed the due date to the 13th. The outline and the annotated bibliography are both going to be due on the 13th. Okay, because I think that the outline, you're going to want to use some of your sources for the outline, which technically we're even though I'm going to go over argumentative essays and using some research, I'm not necessarily going to go over everything you need to know this week for sources. So it might just be, I just think it'd be better if we have both these assignments due next week, which doesn't mean that you wait until next week to work on it. I mean, you start working on it now, and you take what you learned this week and next week, and you complete the assignments. Okay, so technically next Monday, there's nothing due. Okay, things aren't due until the 13th. You can always turn it in early if you want to. Okay, just note that. Today, let's see, all of today's stuff that I'm going over can be found in lessons. Go down to essay 3. If you could click on essay 3, I have the essay 3 description, which I'm going to go over today in a PowerPoint. And then if you go down to here, we have at week 12, which is right now. The PowerPoint that I'm going to be using is right here, intro to argumentative paper. Okay. And then also, let's see, I have something about an outline. Where's the outline? Maybe it's in here. Okay, I found it. Sorry, it's right here. Essay 3 outline. All right, underneath the PowerPoint notes. So that you're going to need for this week and next week. Okay, I'm going to go over that too. So, and then you're supposed to have read this article, What is a Scientist? which What is a Scientist is a article that is a chapter from a book, actually. That's an argumentative piece arguing the traditional stereotypical idea of a scientist, which was a white male, a white European male, or a white American male. And it's challenging that notion and arguing that the contributions of women and the contributions of people of color in the history of science and the contributions of scientists not part of the Western Euro continents have been largely ignored. And so it's an argumentative piece. It's a good example of kind of what you'll be doing. It has a clear thesis and a lot of supports. So if you didn't read it, I want you to read it. Okay, it's a good example of professional argumentative writing. Okay, let's get into this PowerPoint. Oh, I know my screen's gonna go wonky. Hold on. Okay. All right. Argumentative writing, also known as persuasive writing. Okay, so essay 3 is you are writing an argumentative essay with the following requirement. A 2-part thesis including statement of position and forecast of your lines of reasoning. Meaning, okay, that something like for example, what's a scientist? Okay, thesis would be something like the history of science has focused mostly on white European males and their achievements, thus ignoring the contributions of women, people of color, and people outside of Western Euro-American culture. Boom. Okay. So like that kind of thesis would tell us that this is arguing about the ignorance of contributions of other people in science, and that the 3 main body paragraphs are going to focus on women, the contributions of people of color, and the contributions of people out in countries outside of the Euro-American Western culture. Okay. You need to have 3 credible outside sources quoted and cited in your paper. So one thing I've noticed, oh wait, no, I'm sorry, I noticed this in 1102, but they're still doing it in 1102. Students are putting sources on their works cited page, but not talking about those sources or quoting those sources or citing those sources in their actual paper. Okay. So for essay 2, you had to have an outside source. And so I hope that you quoted it or summarized it and cited it in your paper, and you have the citation on your works cited page, because that's what you're supposed to have done. I'm going to go over all that again these coming weeks. But you get to pull 3 outside sources, like from Galileo or the internet, or these really cool things, these really cool things called books. What? Oh my God, what is this? It's a book. When I was in college, years ago, but we still had computers back then, okay? Most people used Galileo in the internet to get all their sources, but I loved giving myself 4 hours to go to the library at the university and just hibernate there with a big old thing of coffee. And I prided myself on pulling all of my sources from actual books and hunting them down. Wow. Lame! But that's what I did, though, okay? So your 3 sources need to come from either books or Galileo or credible online resources. And you have to put those 3 on a works cited page, okay? And your paper needs to be about 4 pages. You need to have an introduction, and you need to have a conclusion. And then you need to have at least 3 body paragraphs, but you could have 4 or 5. You can have more, okay? As you get older, you won't have a paragraph per point you're making. You're going to have like multiple paragraphs for the points that you make, okay? And so when you're writing these 4 full pages, that doesn't mean that every paragraph has to be 3/4 of a page long. If we were writing an article, a paper about the article that you just read, What is a Scientist? We would discuss like multiple examples of women contributors, multiple examples of people of color contributors, multiple examples of people in other countries besides those found in the continent of Europe and America, North America. Okay. So your goal is to get to 4 full pages and then have a 5th page. That's your works cited page. Okay. Okay. I already discussed this, how I'm moving. I changed the date right here from 11/6 to 11/13. Okay. Both these assignments are due on the same day in like 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks to do the following. Decide on a topic. Research your topic. Write an outline with quotes. Write an annotative bibliography over your sources. That D is inconsistent. That should be a lowercase d with a parentheses. Oh, well, though. Okay. So I'm going to lecture today, and I'm going to go over part of this next week as well. Okay. So I'll still be there to help you. Sorry, on your way. All right, so you might be asking yourself, what is an argumentative essay? Well, here you go. Let me move my face. Oh, I just lost my face. I hate when I do that. I move it and then I lose it. You might see it. I don't see it. Oh, well. The argumentative essay is a genre of writing that requires the writer to develop a topic via researching credible sources, create a clear, concise, and defined thesis statement that occurs in the first paragraph of the essay, construct body paragraphs that include evidential support, meaning evidence, whether factual, logical, statistical, or anecdotal, write in proper argumentative style, logical transitions, and firm and concise tone, and then have a conclusion. Okay? Listen. An argumentative essay is not something that where like it's about gravity. Gravity is a law. It exists. It's real. Okay, that's not an argumentative essay. We're not, an argumentative essay wouldn't be if you eat too much food and you don't exercise, you'll gain weight. That's a fact. Believe me. I know. Okay, so these are facts. Arguments aren't facts. Okay. But like, this summer, Roe versus Wade was struck down. So argumentative essay would be about, hey, we should protect this right federally, and so the Congress needs to write a new bill in order to get it passed by Congress. So that way, Roe versus Wade is reinstated. Or you can argue that Roe versus Wade should have been stricken down, okay, and that it was unconstitutional for these reasons, blah, 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 okay? Those kind of laws, not the law of gravity, but as in like person-made laws in this country, those are arguable. You might write a paper about arguing why marijuana should be decriminalized. You could write an article about, argument on other rights that people should have. Second Amendment, that's a hot topic, okay? It's saying guns should be controlled more. You can write an argument saying Second Amendment should still exist. People have rights to weapons, but there should be a limit on the styles of weapons that can be acquired and used. And you could cite things like back in the 30s, America decided to outlaw the sawed-off shotgun because it was too easily to conceal, and it created too much damage. Like things like that. Okay, so you can pick your topic. An argumentative topic is one with many differing perspectives. While there isn't any definitive point of view, you must accept and argue one. Okay? You're not doing both sides. You're only doing one side of the argument. This isn't a compare contrast essay. There's no fence to sit on. Good topic. Those ones I already given you. Stacey Abrams or Brian Kemp will be a better governor for Georgia because of his or her stance on abortion rights, immigration, and the economy. You pick one. Okay, right about it. The election's coming up soon, November 8th, I think. Okay, so maybe you could research the candidates, decide which one you're going to vote for, and write a paper about why you're going to vote for that candidate. Okay. The movie A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is a subversive queer film. This is kind of in connection to what we did earlier, okay? But I don't care if you write about another film. Oh, wait, no. We didn't do this in this. Sorry, I'm getting 1102 confused. In 1102, we have a unit where we analyze a film, a horror film, and talk about its societal themes, okay? So, like, y'all could do something like that as well. Again, I don't know if my camera has disappeared. I don't know if you can see behind me. I have a list of horror movies on the board. Candyman from 1972, Get Out, Midsummer, The Lost Boys, and The Last House on the Left from 1972. All these horror films, Halloween films, all have societal messages and themes to them that make statements. So you can watch a film and then write about its messages. What is it saying about a subject or a topic? So in this case, the movie A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is a subversive queer film. America should do more to protect the working rights and benefits of female workers who have children. Okay, you can argue about free daycare and the importance of that, and how to secure equal pay, and how women who go on maternity leave should not be penalized for the time on that leave. Those kind of things, okay? Stephen King is a better realistic fiction writer than he is at writing horror or sci-fi. If you're a big fan of an author, then you could write about their work, but you're arguing a statement that people don't all agree with. Add topics, things and types of topics you would not want to choose. How a combustible engine works. Nope, this is not an argument. It's fact. That's an expository essay. Stephen King is a horror writer. Duh. That's too obvious. You're not making an argument. Again, you're just explaining. He's a horror writer. Yeah, he made his money off that. Okay, that's. There's no one who's going to debate you on that one. Now, going back to the previous one, saying that he's actually better at writing realistic fiction than he is at writing horror. Now, there will be a lot of Stephen King fans who might lose their mind if you say that, okay? So that you could discuss, okay? Respectable sources. Okay, so after you pick your topic, you guys start doing some research, okay? Now, I demonstrated Galileo before. I wanted to use one article, at least, in Essay 2, okay? And so we practiced Galileo, and we looked at that for Essay 2. But there are some sources besides Galileo that you can look at, all right? News sources with the Associated Press, AP, they have much more rigorous standards for their journalists, and their journalists are actually more like freelancers. They work for the Associated Press, they write articles, and then those articles are sold essentially to smaller newspapers who need to have some, fillers. Okay. So like I have a neighbor, he writes for the Associated Press. He writes about government proceedings. He writes articles, and he might write 5 articles, and only one gets published because the AJC might say, "Hey, we have our own journalists, but we're lacking 1 or 2 articles to put into this section," and then so then they will purchase an Associated Press article. Okay, same thing with New York. Same thing with in every single little city and state. Okay, so if it's an Associated Press article, that has pretty rigorous editorial processes, so it's more reliable. The New York Times, Vulture, The Atlantic, Slate, The Guardian, The Economist, Forbes, The Washington Times, Psychology Today, New York Magazine, anything that's .org, .gov, or .edu. These types of sources are rather reliable. Okay. Do not use Wikipedia, Dictionary.com. Don't use Fox News or CNN. Don't use MyResearchList.com. No. Don't use these types of sources, okay, when you are writing your paper. These are not considered academic or reliable. So when you are researching for your topic, there's a couple different types of research you can do. One's called supportive research that directly supports your analysis because the author shares your perspective. This is a review. I've kind of already gone over this, okay? So, for example, a lithium-based source of energy still creates a comparable level of pollution, environmental side effects, and economic inequality as the consumption of oil. So this is a argument that batteries, all right, battery-powered tools are just actually to have just as bad environmental side effects as oil. A lot of people are like, hey, don't use a gasoline powered blower. Okay, get a battery operated blower. And people make this assumption that it's because that they're better for the environment. But this thesis would argue that, well, lithium batteries, that type of energy, is still just as bad for the environment as oil. Okay, so if that's the thesis, here's some articles that one could read about that. Robert Rapier wrote Environmental Implications of Lead Acid and Lithium-Ion Batteries, which was found on Forbes.com. Like, this is a piece of supportive research because it's actually about the topic, actually about the actual thesis that this person is writing about. And it comes from a reliable website, Forbes. So, like, if you had read this, you might use this quote. Further, these metals that go into lithium batteries must be mined, and there can be pollution associated with activity, as there is with lead mining. In addition to the pollution potential, much of the criticism surrounding the environmental impacts on lithium-ion batteries have been in relation to child labor in cobalt mines in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Okay, so this is a good quote that relates directly to the thesis. Topical research is research that indirectly supports your analysis by applying the research to your topic. So it's not so much thesis. Supportive supports your thesis. This is more like on the general topic. So again, we have the same sort of topic about lithium-based battery is not actually as good for the environment as we thought. And then here we find this piece of research from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which is a .edu website. And here it says, environmental hazards are present during every step of the open pit mining process. Hard rock mining exposes rock that has lain unexposed for geological era. When crushed, these rocks expose radioactive elements, asbestos, like minerals, and metallic dust. During separation, residual rock slurries, which are mixtures of pulverized rock and liquid, are produced as tailings, toxic, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this never talks about lithium batteries. But in order to get lithium, to make lithium batteries, and to get the raw materials, they have to go through this type of open pit mining. This is how they get those materials. So while this is more on the topic in general of one energy source is not necessarily better in the environment than another energy source, but it still comes from a reliable source. EDU, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which is MIT, very good school. Okay, so we can rely on its information. So, you want to do your research first, and then use your research to help you outline your essay with quotes. Okay? You want to divide your essay into points that you want to make. Each point is a paragraph. Find many quotes that support your point. So if your thesis is, America won't become a more progressive country until women reach equality in the workplace and in the home. That's your thesis. You can't start your paper without having a thesis. You can't start researching without a thesis. You got to have your thesis, your main idea. Okay. 2, women in the workplace. So you find this quote. 34% of men working remotely with children at home said they received a promotion versus 9% of women in the same situation. Now, comment, this came from Fox. Before I said don't use Fox News. But the only reason why this is actually okay in this case is because this is kind of counter to what we generally perceive Fox to be as being conservative. Okay? And generally things that are conservative tend to be more pro-male. All right? And so this was an interesting quote to come from Fox because it just seems somewhat counter to what they generally talk about. And when you find things that are a bit counter to what the news source usually reports, then it actually makes it more valid. Okay. So like if I was like someone who's like always criticizing Donald Trump, and then I had something to say that wasn't criticizing, that was actually maybe that I thought was like complimentary or whatever, right? Then that has more merit than all the criticisms that I normally would make. So in this case, this one about how women in the workplace have inequalities from Fox News, this is actually more reliable. All right, so like let's say next part 3, next point, women in the household. I found this quote. Working mothers have shouldered the majority of the burden around the home. It's from a book called All the Rage, which talks about how there's still inequalities in the home when looking at straight relationships, and that even men who would label themselves as liberal socially in the home and politically in the home, though they still automatically are on sort of traditional norms in terms of traditional gender norm defaults. And so women still end up doing more work at the home. All right. So paragraph number 4 could be women's health compared to more progressive countries. And then I found this quote. U.S. women report the least positive experiences among the 11 countries studied. They have the greatest burden of chronic illness, highest rates of skipping needed health care because of cost, difficulty affording their health care, and are least satisfied with their care. So I would shape my paragraphs around these quotes. I would lead into the quotes, have the quote, and then analyze the quote. Okay? And so your outline should really just be a bunch of claims, or what's going to be the main idea of each paragraph, and then have a quote already there written that supports each of the main ideas, which is why I'm making your outline due when you're in 2 weeks, because I want you to research and then do the outline. I don't want you to do the outline first. Then you want to keep track of all your, if you're using if you're using web-based, non-Galileo web-based articles, keep track of the web addresses, okay? Because I will show you next week how to use, even though I think we already did, but I'll review then, ezbib.com, where you can copy and paste your web addresses into ezbib.com, and it will create a works cited page for you. All right. So if now if you're using Galileo, you can just get the works cited. I showed you before. It has a little thing where it says where you can get the citation. Okay, and that's easy. But if you're using a website like CNBC or the Guardian or Commonwealth Fund, you need to copy and paste those citations into your Word documents. That way you have them for later. All right, and like I said, we'll discuss anti-bibliographies and using EasyBib next week. Okay. All right, that's that. This week, start figuring out your main idea, your topic, and like what are maybe some supports you want to use to explain your to argue your claim, your thesis, and you can write a little outline about like what are going to be your main ideas, your main claims for each paragraph, and then start trying to doing the research to try to figure out and find quotes that will support your ideas, okay, your thesis. If you have any questions along the way, let me know. If you haven't turned your essay in, you can still turn it in up to the point that you have a 0. Once you have a 0, you can still turn it in, but the highest grade you can get is a 70. Alrighty. Hope you have a good Halloween if you're watching this before Halloween. And if you're watching this on Halloween, hope you enjoy tonight. You're never too old to go trick-or-treating. Just dress up. And if you're watching this after Halloween, well, I hope you enjoyed your Halloween. Okay.